Hello everyone, Bob here. Well, in this video, I am going to give you my official definitive ranking of the three films in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings motion picture trilogy. Now, if you've watched my individual videos, you can probably kind of figure out how I rank them. I guarantee it isn't how a lot of fans do, but it's how the order in which I prefer them. And so, without further ado, uh, number 3 on the list is The Two Towers. Now, I know a lot of people put this one at the number 1 spot or at worst the number 2 spot, but for me, this one, it just, I never have liked it as well as I have the other two. There's a couple of instances where it just kind of drug for me, and now I do like the extended edition better than the theatrical cut. This is, of course, the Blu-ray Steelbook. There's the back of the Steelbook. But now, don't get me wrong, the Battle of Helm's Deep, the whole second half of the movie is excellent and stands up just as well as the other two. I just didn't care for the first half of it nearly as much, and I never have been just the biggest fan of the Ents, and I know that's a big part of the Lord of the Rings mythos and all that. I just call it personal taste, call it what you will. That's why that one's at the bottom. Now, the top two films are close. In fact, you could almost call them a 1A and a 1B. But after sitting here thinking about it, I'm going to go for the middle spot, the number 2 spot, I'm going to give to the Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Now, this is it's the one, this one perhaps had the hardest job. It had to start everything off, it had to draw everybody in, and show them that it is worth going to the cinema for 3 hours per movie for 3 movies to be immersed in this world, and it works fantastically. The extended edition is just as good, and there's so much world building in this, and it's the way it's done. I just love this movie. This when I watched this movie for the first time, it just drew me into the whole Tolkien world, and like I say, this is more of a 1B instead of a number 2, but depending on what kind of a mood I'm in will depend on whether I watch this one or The Return of the King. But there's the back of this steelbook. I know these steelbooks aren't in the best of shape, but I only paid like 99 cents for each of them, and I just got them because it was I didn't have them at the time, and this is one of the franchises that I do try to collect the various different releases of. But there isn't any artwork on any of the middle ones. But yeah, the DVD isn't in there, but I loaned it out. But here is, like I say, my number 2. Even though the big battle sequences that are in the other 2 films aren't in this one, notwithstanding the prologue, of course, with the Battle of Sauron and all that, with Sauron and all that stuff. But yeah, good film. There aren't any of these films I wouldn't recommend to anybody that loves fantasy movies. But, of course, by process of elimination, the number 1, and like I say, when you watched my review of The Return of the King, you would know that I would rank it as one of my top favorite movies of all time. And I stand by that. And I know a lot of people don't like this one nearly as much as they do the other 2. And that's okay. I mean, everybody has different opinions. That's part of what makes everything work, part of what makes the world go round. But I have always liked this one. Ever since I saw this one, it was just such an epic conclusion. And I watched this one, as I said in the review, over and over and over again. If I remember right, it came out in May of 2004 on DVD, and I had to have watched that like 50 times over the following summer. I love this movie. The Battle of the Pelennor Fields sequences are incredible. The sequences in Mordor are incredible. The whole thing. I love this movie. This is, of course, the one that won all the Oscars. Although, ironically enough, this is the one I prefer the extended cut the least of the 3, just because I feel like it adds the least amount to it that it does any of the others. But There's the back of this steel book. But to me, while the Fellowship of the Ring had the challenging job of getting everybody interested, this one also had a challenging job in wrapping everything up. I mean, like I say, this is the end of a 9. By the time you add the 200 minutes of this, and you're talking about almost a 9.5 hour theatrical movie journey, and to me, it does a good job. I know a lot of people hate the multiple endings, but you had to do that to address everything. You had to wrap everybody's story up. The I know a lot that this one doesn't quite have the character development that the first two did, but that's not really the point of this one, in my view. The point of this one is to give everybody the grand epic finale that an epic like Lord of the Rings trilogy deserves. Well, that's my ranking of the 3 Lord of the Rings films by Peter Jackson. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like and consider subscribing to this channel. Everybody's stay safe out there and enjoy. If you're in my part of the world, enjoy this wonderful spring weather we're having, and watch for more videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is Bob, signing off.